Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Self-Love Show. We are back Thursday morning. So excited to have this opportunity. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is my lovely co-host, Trish Wright, and my name is Dawn for those new viewers. And for the viewers that are always with us, we're so grateful for you here. And we have an amazing guest today, Viraja Prema, and she is a love and intimacy expert. So excited to have you with us. So, so grateful for you.
Being here, Dawn and Trish. I'm so excited for today's show.
Yeah. I'd love to read your bio.
Okay.
Viraja Prema is a love and intimacy expert with 25 years of experience. She specializes in teaching feminine leaders how to leverage their past pain and patterns of betrayal to access more feminine power and love than ever before. She's committed to evoking and nurturing a culture of intimacy-activated leadership where the well-being of all is inherent and fostered. I love that. And this month, Viraja was chosen by Yahoo.finance as the number 3 top love coach in 2021. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it was very exciting to get contacted and be set up for an interview. And they heard about what the work I've been doing for the last 25 years and what my focus is and what my passion is. And they asked me what my name meant. And they were like, oh my gosh, we so want you to be able to be known by more people. They're like, claim it. We want you to claim it. We're going to give you number 3. We want you to be number 3 love coach. I was like, oh, okay, this is so good. So good. Exciting. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Wow. What an amazing accomplishment. Like, congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, very exciting. It was right when I definitely came out of my own cocoon in the quarantine. I'd already intended to have a bit of a sabbatical right when at the beginning of quarantine. And then I was like, okay, I'm coming out with some offerings and I really feel like I'm ready for this. And then I got all these new opportunities that just showed up. I was like, okay, yes, now's the time.
Wow.
Including being here on the show with you guys. Thank you.
It was perfect. It was perfect because we were on Straight Talk just this past Friday, and we had an opening on the show, and I was like, wait, that's the person that I want to have on the show. You come here. And I just want to point out that sometimes it really is about being with the flow. There's like a pushing energy that, I think Dawn, maybe you resonate with this, Viraja, but I don't know. I'm going to speak for myself and Dawn for a moment, if you don't mind, is that there's sometimes this like very masculine energy of like getting things done. We were just talking about it, even like getting things done and having that like push, that train behind you. And like, sometimes it's just not ready yet. And there's something that happens that if you just trust that process, that's just like, okay, now's the time that I'm going to drop all the things that I have. I'm going to offer my gifts, and here it is. And it just lands. Like it lands on the ground running without effort because you're not pushing against it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
I'm also noticing, and I was appreciating recently hearing you, Trish, talk about like how that can also provoke anxiety. But it's like this place where I was even feeling it yesterday. It's like getting to this edge, and it was like, I feel like I'm being pushed or brought to this new phase of my life, or into this new thing, and a part of me is freaking out. It's like that edge of like breaking through and needing to just be with that and feel it. As we say, like the self-empathy practice, or asking for somebody to be present with me and just really acknowledge that that's going on and let that be here too in the midst of the growth, because there's those like thresholds that we go through that I know I go through anyway. So that it's like the yes and of both of those.
Totally understand that. Yes.
What I'm going through.
It's like for me, it's this place of I know what I need to do, and I get to that threshold. Well, there's a place of being. So we talk about this a lot: the inspired living, and the pushing at things that are obligatory. So that's where I'm like, wait, whoa. Is it obligation? Like I have to do this? Is it coming out of fear? Is it coming out of like, oh my God, I have to do something. I have to keep going. Or is it coming out of, wow, I'm overwhelmed with how much opportunity, how much like juice that the universe is like sending my way. Like it's so exciting. So there's a difference there, but yeah, Anxiety can be, can I just be with all of this? And I can love you both there. And I can love me there too. What's it like for you, Dawn?
I get everything you're saying loudly, because it's like riding that edge. Like, I love the analogy of the edge, right? Because it does feel that way. It's like right on the, like, I'm about to birth, and yet the universe is still saying there's little more to tend to here. And that's what the anxiety is you could feel the pressure building of like, oh, I'm about to go through this major portal, and I need to lean in to allow myself to be in this space. It's okay to be in this space. It's okay to feel the undoneness of it, and that I'm still preparing on some level. Like, there's still parts of the cocoon forming, or, you know, and I haven't quite fully broken out of it yet, right? Like, as a butterfly, that analogy. And so, yeah, just giving myself that wild permission to be okay with the fears that arise, be okay with the anxiety, be okay. Like, I even had a little bit of it this morning, even when I was, and I feel good. Like, all in all, my life is really good. I feel great on so many levels. I feel so blessed to do what I do and to be cultivating this gorgeous thing on the back end to serve so many people. And I can feel the awakening of like the expansion, right? Like the riding that edge of expansion. And there's nervousness in it, anxiety in it, and exciting. And I think it's all a mix.
Yeah, recently I've been really using the metaphor of birth. And I know, Dawn, you've birthed. You haven't yet, Trish, right?
No, I haven't yet.
Yeah, and like the different stages and phases. And I was like, I've dilated more. Yesterday I'm like, oh, feeling it and like really being it. It's like you can't avoid it either. It's like this, you gotta do it. Like, it's you gotta feel it to heal it. It's also like, I feel like in our growth, we're expanding and we're contracting, and it's like this natural rhythm, and we like, it can't not do it. So it's like, how do we be in it and have the best ride we can with it? You know, and using these practices like you guys are sharing in the show, the intention of the show is like so pointing to that. And I really acknowledge you both for all of the work you've done to create this resource for us. Thank you. You're doing such a beautiful job.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, the birth analogy is, I just resonate with what you say, because it is true that it does feel like you're birthing yourself. You're rebirthing a part of yourself through the journey. And it's like constant rebirth and letting go and rebirth, letting go and rebirth. Like, that's the journey of awakening.
Yeah,
it's true.
Absolutely.
So, well, perfect time to have this conversation, since we're specifically talking about fear, rejection, isolation, and becoming more integrated and emotionally resilient. I mean, we are in a crazy pandemic. We have now passed almost a whole year of quarantine and isolation, and this really amazing virus that has both taught us a lot of things about ourselves and each other and community. And there has been a lot of isolation. There's been a lot of fear. There's been a lot of relearning how to behave as humans or animals. I mean, whatever you want to call it. And you know, I've actually, just to come back to this birth thought, I've been really terrified for many years about birth. Totally random. I don't know why this is coming up. Welcome to the dynamic conversation. So multiple friends have invited me to be in their births, to just share, to hold space there. And I was like terrified, like full on. I don't even know what to do with that information. Like I couldn't even get in my brain to even show up there. And I was like, I can't, I'm so sorry. I love you, but no. And even now there's this level of like a stop, where I hold my breath around the level of energy and creative force that's in that space. And I, like, before it was like some story about the body that I was afraid of. And then there was like, you know, I had all these things that I had to work through up until like, even now I'm doing some deep childhood work, and I'm roughly, I just moved through like 7 to 5, and now I'm moving even further into my like deeper youthful stuff, the nonverbal stuff. This is the stuff we were talking about on the show on Friday, right? So there's like, oh, I wonder what it's going to look like going backwards, like through the birth canal into the more amniotic space rather than like, oh. Did that all make sense?
The only way out is through. That was literally my mantra through it. Like when I was carrying my child and like through the process of birthing, like especially in birth, I was like, the only way out is through. Like there is mother. Like this is it. I embrace it. However long it takes, however much pushing it takes, because I had to push a lot in my birth. Literally for 4 hours I pushed. So I had to literally push a lot. And that was like, wow, powerful that I made it through that. Like I just felt superhuman on the other side. Like, oh my God, if I could do that, I can do anything.
Yeah. 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 Beautiful. I'm so glad you were able to connect into that and like that thread of your knowing and the energy that it takes and the trust in that. I feel like birthing, literally physically birthing, is like the massive, obviously, initiation into that.
It truly is.
I have a pretty powerful birth story that also can give a good example of the focus of the, what the practice is for today. So it'd be a good opportunity to share that if you want to hear it. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
We would love to.
Okay, good. I feel like my like adrenaline starts pumping because it's referring to a very, very intense situation, which is so beautiful, but definitely drawing on that knowingness of like my wisdom and the trust of like what this woman body can do, what life has done through us for many millennia, that has created all these beautiful humans. And my first son and I had a birth experience that was 64 hours long.
Wow.
Yeah. 64 hours. And I was very determined that I was going to birth at home and I was going to birth in the water. And I had, a little bit before labor, like he shifted position. So he was is called posterior. So his head's down, but he's facing towards the belly. And so when the head goes right into the sacrum with each contraction, so it's like the most physically uncomfortable you could imagine. So I've always considered myself very stubborn, and I have manifested some situations in my life that have taken a lot of intensity for me to get the lesson. And I truly feel like this is one of those examples. So it was about 62 hours into labor. I was still at home. Everything was fine. Like my heart rate and his heart rate and everything was fine. And so I got to continue. And I had an amazing midwife that was so also experienced and trusting. She's like Earth Mama. So about 62 hours into this extraordinarily painful experience and like no sleep for more than like 60 seconds in that time. I had this opportunity to be met by my midwife. She sat and she looked me right in the eyes. Like now we know we do, like in our coaching, like sometimes you just got to like really be there with somebody where they're at, but also call them into what else is possible. So she looked at me and she says, "What are you doing that's not letting this baby drop?" Yeah. I kind of went gulp. And there was part of me that wanted to cut her head off.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I was like, I'm trying everything I can. I'm trying. I'm doing it. I'm like in it. Like that doing part that you're talking about too is like, I'm doing everything I possibly can. Are you kidding me? And she went out of I was in the bathroom at the time. She went out of the bathroom and I went, nah. I got in the shower. When I was in the shower, I started like screaming and crying and throwing a like temper tantrum. And I realized that there was this really core, primal, innate part of me that was probably like, we talk about pre-verbal, like this was in my biology that some part of me did not feel totally safe. I did not feel totally safe in my body. I didn't feel totally safe being on the planet. And so there was a part of me that was saying, hell no, it's not safe to birth this baby and have this other being on the planet. Like some part was like, there was an incongruency. Like, it's like, I can't birth this baby here in integrity as long as I'm holding this story.
Wow. Powerful.
Yeah. So I got finally like some perspective on it. She helped me like pop out of like the merging, being merged with that experience. I mean, it's so unconscious, and like I'd been pointing and kind of uncovering that for a few years, intentionally before, but I never gotten to that level before. I needed to be like opened up and surrendered and all, like to get to that place for my consciousness to click in what needed to click in. And I was like, oh, holy wow. Like, and the stakes were so high, right? Like if I don't figure out on the world to shift this belief, then I'm going to be in a scenario that I'm so committed to not being in, like being in the hospital, being, cut open and having a cesarean birth, like, or
Stakes are high.
Something worse. Yeah. What's that?
You said the stakes were very, very high.
Very, very high. Yeah. That's like, so there was something that clicked, thank God, when I was in the shower, and it was like, oh, like I'm having this one thing in my referencing of like it not being safe. And then it was like I got created, like I unhooked from that, doing my screaming and my crying and my moving and all of that. And I was able to kind of pop into this other possibility. And it was like, oh, this baby's being born into my arms. And my heart is welcoming this baby. And it's what he and I are co-creating. And it's what we're calling in for our souls and what we're choosing for our lifetime and what we're going to be doing on this planet. And it was like, oh, like then that started to feel like even right now, like warm and fluid and yummy and soft and sweet and like juicy. And I was like, oh, it's like, okay, like there's aliveness there, right? Not like this place of like freeze and like pushing away that creates that sense of like disconnect from our life force energy. It was like, oh my gosh, okay, here I am. And I felt this hope and I felt this like, yes. And like, oh my God, we've got this. We can do this. And I came out of the shower.
Yes.
And he was born less than 2 hours later.
Wow.
Yeah. And then just a side note to that, anybody who knows, anybody who has a posterior baby, and so that's one of the main reasons that there are cesareans that are performed, because that the labor takes an extensive period of time when there's a posterior baby. And then they use that as an excuse to give them a cesarean. But please let people know that acupuncture, not even using a needle, using moxa on the baby toe, the left toe, he immediately, within seconds, went and rolled right over.
Wow.
Yeah. Simple, amazing, ancient, thousands and thousands of year old, practice, and it will it will completely change somebody's birth experience. So that's
I have something to share really quickly. Thank you so much for this deep, powerful story. And I think every woman has this moment that you're talking about when they're birthing. And this is also related to birth in ourself, rebirthing ourselves through our projects, the things we give in the world, our gifts, right? I'm going to relate it to that too. But in my birth, I'll share quickly and then we can get fully back to what you're offering. But I had the same situation come down the pipeline for me, where I was fully dilated and I was in the water and I was supposed to move into transition. I was in the tub at home and I had my midwife team and they held my hands so powerfully outside of the tub, and I was with them and I was literally like chanting what we were going to have in our family dynamic. I was spouting out all these things like unconditional love, caring, like kindness. Like I was just invoking it like powerfully, and there I was, my candles were lit on my altar. Like the music was like, David Prema playing, the lights were low. My midwife team was there. It was incredible, right? It was a total space that we were holding together. And I got to this point where joy had been fully denied by my father in my childhood. It was like the part that was always missing in my childhood. And when I said joy, my heart literally popped. I had a physical heart chakra expansion, and I immediately burst into tears and started sobbing, like uncontrollably sobbing. And they squeezed my hands really hard and they were like, "That's it. That's your power. That's it." And I was just like, I mean, writhing in this like full bodied experience of like experiential knowing of joy in my being, and that my child was the gift giving me this experience of fully coming home to the joy of my beingness, that it was never denied and it's always there and it's present. Like, so powerful.
Yeah.
So birth gives us this gift, right? Our children bring this gift to us. Like, thank God your son gave you that gift of like deep, delicious owning your femininity and coming into like, I'm safe on the planet in this body. I'm safe to be a mother.
Absolutely.
Woo!
Extraordinary of your story too. So it's that reuniting and coming home and birthing ourselves.
It's such a beautiful, like your birth stories are so powerful in the ownership of your own truth and your own heart and your own being. And it's such a powerful metaphor for birthing what, like your own like inner work or your own businesses. And that's where we started, right? Is like we started in this place of you're birthing these programs, and it just everything started to unfold or unfurl like a flower. Unfurl. Love this. See, this is what I mean by dynamic conversation. Like, it's just gonna happen. We're just gonna have fun with it. So now we're bringing in safety and joy, resilience, and I want to say hi to Sonia Sophia. Hi, it's nice to see you.
Hi, Sonia. Hi, Scott.
I just want to reach out to our listeners and our viewers, and just ask, how have you been feeling lately? Have you been feeling that sense of rejection? Have you been feeling that sense of isolation? And just like, what's going on in your world? Like, because I know that Viraja is going to take us through something that's wildly powerful. And I invite you to just drop it into the altar of our comment box. And then you can, we'll work through it together. And that's the cool thing. Like, you don't have to do your work alone. We're all here doing it together. You can reach out to any of us anytime you want, of course. But to really take this time with us right now in the moment to really give yourself the gift of building emotional resilience, allowing yourself to receive in this moment. I'm curious a little bit about how you've used this tool for fear, rejection, isolation, and how you've become more connected and accepting and inclusive with yourself. Like, I'm curious about what this tool has done for you. Yeah. Oh, we haven't gone through it yet.
Yeah.
I'll have a lot to say about it.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely done that. It's helped me feel not as I think it's really helped with the part of me that can feel like more like in the victim place of that, like I am living in this way, in this mode, and there's nothing I can do about it. Like, this is where I'm at. Like it's been there's varying degrees of when that can come up for me, or times in the past where it's been definitely more evident in my moment experience. But there's this like perspective that I've gotten now, like I was referring to before, of like, oh, this is happening, and wait, that's not all that I am, or that's not all that's happening. And I can reflect back to when I was younger. It's like a thought or a belief about myself, or even like a sensation I'm having in my body, or an emotional experience, like that can seem like the world, like there's nothing else going on, and that experience in birth is such an, extreme example of like, whoa. I mean, and that's like our base survival mechanisms, which is like the core, like the deepest place we can go to. But there's like, I remember when I was 15 and I was in a dating experience, like a real dating experience for the first time. And the guy that I was dating ended up breaking up with me and getting back together with his ex-girlfriend. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, so like, ugh, like heartbroken. And I didn't really understand everything that was happening, but I just knew I couldn't eat. And I was at school, and I'm seeing them on the other part of like lunchtime in the quad, and they're sitting over there, and I'm like, have my food, or I need to go to the cafeteria, and I'm like, I just can't eat. And I didn't even know how to process it or know what was happening, or like this whole like different realm of rejection. Like I was like, there's time we need to metabolize these things that everybody takes, but I didn't have the tools and I didn't have the perspective. I had no reference point for that before. And now, like, obviously and a lot has happened since then. And I have a lot of other tools and I can reference, okay, yeah, I'm feeling grief. I'm feeling disappointment. I'm like, there's a part of me that feels like she's not loved or not lovable or not good enough. Mm-hmm. And there's also like this amazing community around me, or this part of me that is connected to love now and always connected to love. Mm-hmm. And there's also this maha mama part of me that's like, oh my gosh, I have so much unconditional love. I don't even know what to do with it. Like, it's like, oh, I might as well like just like gush it all over myself.
Love myself.
Yeah, so I've developed this reference point and this like relationship with these other parts. So I'm like, oh yes, there's this part that's like heartbroken and rejected, and there's these other things around me. So this part doesn't feel like that's the only thing that is, and there's nothing I can do to change it, and I'm completely like rejected, and life's gonna be really sad. That's not happening anymore. It's like, well, come on over here.
Right.
I love on you.
Yeah. Who can resonate with being rejected and having grief so heavily that they can't eat? Maybe they can't get out of bed. And I think that's a really, thank you for sharing that, because I think that's something that we all can resonate with. It's just like deep heartbreak of this like idea, this social construct that if someone doesn't love you, then you're unlovable. I just don't like that. And it really is like there's sensitive parts of human beings. Like we're so sensitive and so sweet. And you're like, oh, look at that beautiful little thing that hurts so much. Mm-hmm. That, oh, can we?
I know. Love is a healing balm.
Love is a healing. Oh, yeah.
Love is a healing balm. We just need to apply it to all the parts that hurt inside. Mm-hmm. Right. And like whatever the story attached to that part that's hurting, really allow it there for a little while and then love it and just acknowledge it. Like, oh, you're feeling that way. And look at how we're held. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I want to acknowledge Love Coach Academy and the work of compassionate communication and nonviolent communication. Like it was probably 15, 20 years ago now that I first sat with like the needs list, the compilation of all of our needs, our survival needs, emotional needs, community belonging needs, all of these needs. And I literally was like, oh my God. Like it was revolutionary for me, not in that they existed, but I felt like there were parts of me that were like, I can have my needs. Like, I was like, I literally was like, wait, children, adults, men, women, everybody have these needs. Like it's unconditional. Like it's non-denominational, non-gender. It's like non-age specific, everything. Like it was really like these parts that hadn't had that acknowledgement or the permission to really be aware of that or be celebrated in that and supported in that. Had it huge. I even feel it right now. I feel my body like thank God.
I would like to remind everyone that yes, it's okay to be needy. You can have needs. It's safe to have needs. It's safe to ask for what you want and what you need. It's okay to get your needs met. It's safe to get your needs met. You can get your needs met right now. Yes. You are a human being and you have needs. Yay!
And you don't have to know how to get your needs met by yourself. That's the other
It's
thing.
true. You
Yeah.
can meet your needs yourself if you have the tools. You can also ask for people to meet your needs. And that's why we have friends and lovers and family and dogs, cats. Well, the cat thing is a little.
And support people and support groups. And yeah.
You got coaches and therapists. You've got like the Pilates class. There's ways to get your needs met, and it's okay to have needs. I just want to can you pin that? Can you write it down on a sticky note and pin it to whatever? Yeah, right there. Yeah, it's okay to have needs. It doesn't mean that you're broken or that you can't do it or that you it's okay. Everyone has needs. Put it on your refrigerator. I don't know about you, Viraja, but I put that list on my refrigerator.
Yeah. In the bathroom and
Acknowledging that you're a human being and human beings have needs, on a full basics level of just the human body. My body needs to sleep. My body actually needs to eat, and it needs to bathe. It needs water. There's things that I actually this thing that I live in. And then there's the other stuff. Then there's what my brain needs, and then what my emotional body needs, and then there's a whole lot of stuff that my spirit needs. So
Yes.
and I'm okay with that. And I love your neediness, yours and yours.
And I want to know what your needs are.
I want to know what yours are.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I know, that's so sweet.
I want to know how to love you better, is what I'm hearing. That's what I heard in my brain. Okay.
Yeah. I want to understand you. I want to know what you need. I want to help support you in having what you need. I want to know how to love you better. Mm-hmm.
So what if, for all of our viewers and our listeners, that you could find or develop or cultivate a communication style that you could get your needs met and you could meet other people's needs in a loving, compassionate, vibrant way, and that you could live a vibrant and full experience in your the rest of your life? Would you say no way to that? Or would you say fuck yes?
Yes.
So, well, guess what? There's 3 amazing people here that can help you do that. Let's say Angela Hart shares, I think it must be the way some people are raised, because I was raised it was fine to ask for what I want and what I needed, and I'm finding many people did not grow up that way. It's a social construct that being needy or having needs is actually a sign of weakness, that especially in American culture, specifically this nuclear family, white picket fence, we do this and this is how we do it, and this is we don't need anyone else. That's a particular construct of vulnerability and weakness that we're not allowed. I don't know about you 2 ladies, but I definitely had that. You're not supposed to have needs, and you're certainly either supposed to do it, but it was a really weird conversation, actually. If I had romantic needs, then I was supposed to put all of my attention on someone else and get my needs met there, but I wasn't supposed to have any other needs. So it was I both am supposed to get all my needs met by my partner and also not ask for it. Did anyone else get that conditioning? Ooh.
Oh, I had a lot of childhood conditioning to work through.
No, that particular conditioning, or am I just out here floating in space? How about anyone listening?
I have some that relates to that, Trish. Yeah. And I think it's my woman needs. I've said this a few times, bless my father who's now in heaven, but I know he was saying this from his perspective, his worldview, for my best interest, but it really pissed me off. And it was when I graduated from undergraduate, I was 21, and I was telling him I was going to go travel the world, work on motor yachts, work as a massage therapist, and experience the world. And he looks at me and goes, why would you want to do that? Just find a man and have him take care of you.
Wait, what? Yeah, exactly. That's the particular conditioning. Wait.
Yeah.
I can see why that would make you upset.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I've been unwinding that still. It's like, I can be free. I can have my own needs and my own expression and my own life experience and my own access to my own power, my own capacity to generate whatever I need. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. I'm a man to do that. Like,
and you can have compassionate at the same time, like companionship, not compassionate.
Companionship. Yeah. And I can have companionship. Like, woo.
It's not
and you can coexist in a sovereign way with a relationship where you're not leaning on them for your needs to be met in that way of like, I can't do it myself. You know what I mean? And then, you know, you're standing in your sovereignty together as a union versus like leaning on them to be your rock or your support for like finances or whatever it may be, you know, because that very core structure of your dad saying that to you is setting up a woman to go, you know, thankfully you pushed against it. Like, no, that's not what I want. But some women bought into that as the story of what they needed to do in the world. And then it sets up that dynamic where you've seen this in the world where women go out and search. They think that, oh, I'll just be happy if I find a rich husband. I'll just be happy if I, you know, and then they get into situations where they're really wildly uncomfortable being with somebody they've never chosen for a partner, but they did it because of that cultural conditioning. You know, and I've seen that suffering as a coach and in my own friendships with some women I've cultivated over the years. And I'm thankful that I pushed against it too in that way. And I was always like wildly independent and knowing that I would choose love. I would choose a relationship that was fully residing in spiritual love and connection. And that's when I chose to have a partner in that way. And that has been our dynamic. And the journey for me has been really unraveling all that stuff around like being fully sovereign in my marriage and in my relationship where we both stand in our sovereignty. And that's the work, right? And that's what I'm choosing to teach women in my work of really like, where have you given your power away? Where have you chosen to give your power away in those places of whatever those deep structures and beliefs are so that you can reclaim it and be more full in your feminine rising inside of yourself.
So beautiful, so beautiful, so needed. I also have that in my focus. You know, it's like where can we optimize love and access to love in any area of our life, but particularly through those portals of where we've had the betrayal or where we weren't supported, where we had the trauma, where we had the pain, and going through that and seeing what underneath it has been like not able to be accessed by us because we had this layer and this conditioning on top of it. And underneath that is really our power, right? Our power, our true essence, the love that we truly are, our intuition, our wisdom, our grace, all of that. So it's such important work. So yes.
I feel so blessed to be sitting with you two powerful, vibrant ladies.
Me too. It's so good.
So I'm curious a little bit about what our listeners and our viewers are really getting out of this, because you've been listening to us share about like how powerful love is in your sovereign space. And I'm curious if anyone wants to type in what they're getting out of this. And I'm very curious about the process that you want to take us through.
So keep me updated on anything you see coming through the threads over there.
I will. I'm going to spotlight you, and then you can give me the thing when you want us back on. Okay.
Okay. Beautiful. Yeah, I'm really excited to share about how to more work with this way in which we can access more of a sense of inclusion, of safety, of connection, of acceptance. And there's so many different ways that we can be kind of perceiving our experience or being affected by our experience. So I want to go through a couple of those categories and then share a few practices so that we can get to a place where there's more connection. And one of the ones that we've been talking about already, I mean, we've touched on a few things, some of our thoughts, some of our beliefs, some of our feelings, some of our perspectives. So those all kind of point to some of these categories. And so let's go ahead and just start with mentally. And there's an overarching theme that I want to bring in, and it's where we identify where we're at and what's happening. And then we do something that helps us unhook from that. And so we can get other perspective and then also include that. Because as humans, like we were mentioning earlier, we can stand in our sovereignty, and that's really what we get the opportunity to claim in this lifetime, in our lives, and what I believe we are designed for as humans and humanity. We are interdependent beings. And a lot of us are unwinding these patterns and this influence that we've had, either from a survival or from cultural or family. And it's this way which we've been more codependent, many of us, and some ways originally or in past generations was actually how we survived. So there's no like shame, blame, or wrongdoing in that. It's like, how and where can we evolve into being more integrated and whole and sovereign and interdependent in our own relationship within ourselves and our primary relationships and a society and humanity, like how we can come together and really be attuning to each other and to what the needs are and aware of them and responding to them, but also knowing that we are whole beings that have full access to all these amazing resources, and that we get to share those resources where it's inspired, like Tish was saying at the beginning, like inspired action that's from what's true for us, that's in, some say, like giving from our overflow or our gifts. And if we have, just imagine we're all like whole in our center, kind of like what was being referred to a few minutes ago, whole and in our center and in our empowerment and connection to what our personal experience is. And we all have our own unique version of that. We have our own unique access to what life is through us. And if we then come together and we're sharing from what is true for us, or what is our love, the way we want to share our love, or the way we are being in our own presence. So imagine what the life in the world would be like. Like I have a friend who's a strategist for like civilization's existence in the future, and it's like, imagining these cultures and these communities in life where we are not like doing anything that is like, if people are just doing the things in the world that is their natural inspiration. There's this idea that if everyone was just given permission to do that, like we knew what our needs were, we were connected to our heart and our truth, and we are showing up authentically, that everything would get done. Like everything would be happening. There would still be people that would want to pick up the trash and do stuff because that's what they want, the way they'd want to contribute. Like, and there would be people that wanted to make the food, and there would be people who would creating the organizations, and there would be people who were doing their entertainment. Like that's just extraordinary. Like this potential that we have once we've like kind of unhooked from these codependency and these like kind of disempowering dynamics that we've been living with. And so I feel like we're in the process of that. And that's part of why it's so exciting for me to like see this growing community of love coaches and intimacy experts and communication and connection, support that's growing on the planet. Because like the intimacy activated leadership that I was referring to was like, okay, what if, we are sincerely aware of our impact, and we are experiencing that intimately inside of ourselves and with another, and we're making choices from there. It's like this, even the spiritual concept, of like we are all one. And I have enjoyed, even from my very awake friends and from teachings and at times my own glimpsing, like if you imagine a hand, I am an individual and you are an individual, but we are of the same hand. So if that was true, even if we just pretend that's true, if we feel that's true all the way through our being, I wouldn't, if I did anything that took from you or degraded you or isolated you or rejected you, like that would hurt me. That would like intimately, sincerely like affect my life experience. So if we are intimately connected and loving and caring, like there would be no war. There just couldn't. There would be no like resources being reserved just for one particular community or country. Like that just couldn't happen. So there's this pointing to like the beauty and the potential of this thing we're all in, this process of becoming really sovereign and whole and interdependent. Yeah, I feel that really deeply. Yeah, so I invite you all just to take a couple breaths with me and feel how that is in your own being and in your own life. Maybe even dream into with me that unfolding and that potential in the world, and the evolution that we're all going through as a human race. Whew. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So we want to take that same concept and go into our own inner world experience. And there's a way to reference the experience in different ways that's like by parts, or there's different approaches. I'm an experiencer, so I experience life and I learn different teachings and different things, and then I integrate it, and then I digest it, and then I share it and spread the light around it. And so I bring different things together and synthesize, and also have my own direct experience. So some of you might relate to that. So in this regard, there are internal family systems is one approach, or different like transpersonal psychology or deep psychology work, Jungian psychology. There's different variety of things that are really pointing to that we, in our own capacity inside, we can be having a multitude of different experiences, like what the perspective is that we're speaking from or experiencing from. So really easy one that we can play with is like our inner child, our inner child, our young one, let's say, like in whatever age that occurs for you, but I'd say usually probably before age 6, there's a young one. And if we are in an experience where, like, say something that's scary or that feels overwhelming in our life, it's often that's like our young part, a young one that is being activated. And that's often because when we were young, we really didn't have the capacity yet to be with what was happening, like, because we're little and like we actually really need to have other support around us. So this is kind of a mental and an emotional blend of category of what way this might affect us. So we might be feeling fear. We might be feeling like this, like I want to retreat, or I want to hide, or I'm just shaking and trembling because it's too much. So part of what is really important is, number one, to acknowledge what's happening and not make it wrong. It's like, oh, okay, I'm really scared right now. And there's a way in which to gain perspective on that. It might be hard to pause and acknowledge that, because we might have a part that's like trying to just like, do whatever it needs to do, and could even be trying to avoid that or like wrong make it. So that's acknowledge that part might be there too. So that's another part, right? So when we are scared or feel overwhelmed, acknowledge that experience. And as we have developed our toolbox of tools of how to be more emotionally resilient and present, you may have, a particular practice that you like go for a walk, or do some breathing, or get on the phone with a friend and they can help co-regulate you. You might be like lay down. Like, these are different options that you can have of how to be with what is on a physiological, emotional, and mental level. So I'm going to point to certain things. But so one is yes is this experience. Yes, I'm having this experience. Cool. Okay. It's part of the whole spectrum of life experiences. There's nothing wrong with me. This is what's happening. And the second part is and there's another part of me that's aware of this. We can start naming what those possible parts are, but just even number one being like, oh, I'm aware of this. Like, there's a part of me that's aware that this is happening. So when we get triggered or scared, we can get really merged with that part. So sometimes we need to do something that unhooks us. So like I was saying, like the breathing, the walking, another important thing is a very useful thing is to vibrate. You like vibrate and shake, especially if it's a mental construct that we're like trapped in, or an emotional construct or idea or belief or trigger. It's like literally, it like shakes up our system. and like helps make some space. It shakes some things loose. Like if we see animals in the wilds, they will go and they will shake. They will shake it through their body and their nervous system. And if they get scared or frightened, and that helps regulate their nervous system, and discharge, helps discharge what's happening. So we can discharge it from a physiological level and also kind of unhook from that grip it has on our experience. So it's kind of like when we're watching a movie or something, and it zooms in like this it zooms in on a particular scene or a particular character, and it's like, oh my god, it's the only thing that exists is like we're zoomed in on this one thing. And that can happen inside of us. So it might take a moment, but we kind of unhook and we get some perspective, zoom back out, and be like, okay, yes, that's happening. And whoa, that's not the only thing that's happening. So, and the ground is under my feet. You know, sometimes if it's a trauma response that's triggered, it might be something simple like that. Like, yes, I'm scared. And wait, the walls are here and they're not falling down. Or yes, that's happening and I'm able to breathe. Yeah. You know, yes, that's happening and I have love for my children. And you can use that access point as a way to reconnect with love and well-being. I have love for my children, or love for my partner, or love for horses. And then we can bring that love, like, oh, that love is here. That love is also present here with me right now. So you bring that together. Like, oh, like it's not just out here hanging out to dry, like totally scared, disconnected forever. Like, no. Okay, I'm finding my way back to stability and well-being, and remembering that there's also this safety and this love, and I'm going to bring this over here and bring it together. So it's bringing a weaving of the presence and the connection, and meeting and also the need of this part in the moment, giving it reassurance, giving it love, you know, bringing it back into connection. Mm-hmm. Woo! Yeah. So on a physiological level, this is kind of fun because it's somatic experiencing uses this a lot. If you've ever done somatic experiencing, I love this practice, and I use it with myself and with clients. And part of a lot of what I do is really working with the body and embodiment. And this is where, you know, you might be feeling some pain, for example, or tension. So go ahead right now and go somewhere in your body where you feel some pain or tension. Like, for example, I'll give an example of my own experience, because I've been working a lot on the computer and doing work, and I get this tension in my shoulders and my upper traps. So I'm going to go there. So you go wherever in your body that you feel something. It might be pain or discomfort. It also might be numb, or a void. You can't really connect with it. So go wherever that is. We'll just take a few minutes. And as you're connecting in with that, just go ahead and really feel it. Like almost even like turn the volume up. Like you really want to bring your awareness there. A big piece of this tool that I'm bringing is awareness, because we have a part of us that's aware all the time. It's just like utilizing that awareness to our own benefit, to our own liberation, to our own integration and capacity for loving all of who we are and bringing it into our wholeness. So right now we're playing with the awareness of bringing it to that place that's in our body right here, right now. And, you know, like we're multi-leveled and multifaceted and multidimensional. So, you know, I might have other information come in around what this thing is happening in this part of your body, and just notice that. That's, you know, part of the bonus. It is also happening that for this experience, you're going to really focus on the sensation. Yeah. And then notice a place in your body that feels really good, that feels really yummy, whatever that means to you, that you can notice, and that has some sort of sensation or energy flow or aliveness to it that really, really is working for you right now. So we'll go there. I'll call that channel 2. Go to channel 2, pick that one spot. Yeah. It's kind of like you're going to zoom in on that. We're going to, intentionally use the focus, that hyper focus in one area to our benefit right now. So we're hyper focusing on that, turning the volume up even, experiencing that one, as that's also happening. So there's you. And then now go back to channel 1, the first place that you were noticing, and bringing your awareness. Yeah. Give yourself full permission to shift all of your attention and awareness to that spot that you were on in the beginning that was presenting a certain content. And whatever it is okay. We don't want to judge it either. Yeah. Yeah. So yes, this is here. Yep. And it's not the only thing that's happening. So, and okay, let's go to channel 2. Yeah, that other place. Yep. And letting your full immersion in what that is, because this is also happening simultaneously. Yeah. And then go back to channel 1. And then as you're there, fully focusing on channel 1, just notice, how does it feel now compared to how it did at the beginning? Yeah, my shoulders, I'm tuning into my shoulders and checking, like, what's the quality of that experience right now? What's the texture? What's the feeling? What's it like? What's happening? So it's very likely, it might not, but it's very likely that it feels different. Like I have a more, if mine feels more subtle, it's not as anymore. And there's a warmth, and I can feel energy flowing down more into my chest from my shoulders than there was. Yeah, so I want to share that is, if we do this, and you may need to do it longer or maybe play with that, but what it's doing is it's titrating. It's taking well-being from one area, and I almost picture like putting the bucket down in the well, and like you're filling the bucket up when you go to the place that feels good to you, that's open and flowing. So it's like we're going there, putting the bucket down in the well, filling the bucket up. And it's like, oh, that's right. It's like connecting our consciousness with the experience of more openness, of more well-being. I'm just going to summarize it as well-being, the sense of, integration and wholeness and connectivity and the life force energy and access, and to whatever degree it is, it's like more than that other place. So it's like informing your being of like, oh, that's right, this is also here. And you like bring the bucket up, and you bring that bucket over to that other place that you first were focused on. It's like, oh, I'm going to bring my awareness here. Now my awareness is also more potent and potentiated with this well-being. So it's like oh yeah, I'm here, and I'm really present with what this is that's here. And I also have this remembering, have this knowing that this is also happening. And as we do that, this part here will be like, oh, like this quality of presence that we're bringing, that's becoming more and more rich, energy rich, will start to inform this place that forgot that it also is that. It's also this essence of awake, pure isness of all that exists. It's just gotten caught in this other configuration and other energy. So it's like it starts to, all right. But it's going to do it at whatever pace it needs and wants to, and it's important. And that's, kind of up to your system, up to the intelligence that's guiding your well-being. And it, eventually it will most likely relax and open and return to that state of well-being and openness. So those are my words for this experience, and it's, again, synthesizing that from my own taking of things. But that happens on all the levels, on many levels, and in many ways. And I think it's also explained really well in regards to evolution of consciousness, like spiral dynamics and different deep study of how we are evolving in our consciousness as human beings, individually and as a culture and across time, has included different, very distinct phases and aspects. And it's also kind of cool. It's like they're like all the way back to like indigenous, more primal, very earth-based, nature-based cosmology to very advanced. There's different stages all along the way, and it's not necessarily linear. Like, even though we are here on the planet now with all of these different things, we can be accessing or operating from these different levels of consciousness at any different time. And we're all of it. So there's yes and, again, like we're all of it. So I think it's very interesting with this day and age of all these video games. Like, I have 2 sons, and they're, of course, very, very interested in these video games. And a lot of these video games are focusing on me versus you. Like, let me get you out, which other version of that is, or kill you, and then I will get your weapons or points or stars or crowns, and I will advance levels. All this gaming technology, and it's exciting. It's very enrapturing, and it evokes all of this neurochemistry, which really benefits the companies, but it's also keeping us in a certain bandwidth of our consciousness, which in some is like the red meme, like Napoleon and things. It's like me versus you. There's me and there's you. There's me and there's you, and there's competition, and there's scarcity, and there's these things that are evoking a lot of survival and less cooperation and less interdependency. So that is existing. And there are times when we are maybe going to need to operate from that perspective. And there's another aspect of our consciousness that is where we evolve and include, where we are, but we're not alone. It's like the hand thing. It's like, it's not just this finger and this finger. And that's what life is all about. It's like, oh wait, there's this finger, and there's this finger, this finger, this finger, and this finger. It's like there's an I, but there's a we, and it's not separate. Yeah, it's not separate. So the we consciousness is integrating, like, yes, and like there cannot be an and. It is always an and an inclusion and a connection. So if we're feeling this experience in life, which is really kind of part of an epidemic, of loneliness, it is literally listed as one of the psychological main issues, this loneliness and separation and isolation. And it was happening even before the pandemic. And it's this thing where we start to feel our our smallness, our separateness. And it can also correlate to that young one inside that's like, oh, like if I didn't have somebody here with me, I would literally die. Like, that's what we have, our programming in our bodies and our consciousness. So our nervous system, we're looking to see, is our parent going to be there? Am I going to be held and nourished and given food so that I can grow and get bigger and do what I came to do on this planet? So of course we have that vigilance and that natural instinct to look and be like, oh, somebody here with me. I need that feedback and reassurance for my consciousness and my brain development. Also, when we're little, we need it on every level, or else we really won't be able to exist here. So we're looking for that still, psychologically and spiritually, as we are in life all the time. And the shift out of that survival instinct of like it's you versus me into the we takes a bit, can take a minute. That's why there's beautiful benefits of having like a meditation practice, or people go to church, or we read, or we listen to music, or we are out in nature, or we do exercise. There's these things that get us kind of like outside of our own like just self-referencing that's so and can open us up to more of all that is. So the final one I want to just continue to anchor is this one about our spiritual yes and. So there's a yes, I am here. And yes, there's a part of me that might be feeling very alone and isolated. Yeah, like one acknowledging that can be true. And that can feel very, 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 very painfully true. And there might even be evidence all around us. Like, I can't see my friends. Nobody's calling me. I don't have any money. Like, I can't do anything. I feel crappy. Like, there could be so much evidence. And what if that situation and that evidence was just like my birthing experience? What if it was creating the conditions so extreme that we pop through? We're all having our reminders at whatever degree and whatever, are appropriate for us at the time. I totally believe that. So what if your dynamics in your moment, or in your phase, or in your season, or in your years, or in your decade, whatever it is that are sharing with you, like, hey, it's time to wake up. There is, yes, feel this discomfort, feel this pain, and that's not all that exists. You are connected to this infinite web of existence and all that is, and you are never separate from it. Pick the thing that works the best for you. Is it singing? Is it being in water? Is it walking in nature? Is it going to your church? Is it meditating? Is it having a friend hold you? Is it screaming and crying and temper tantruming? What is it that can help you feel that there's something that's bigger than you, that's also you, that you are also connected to? This is one of the things I'm passionate about sharing with people. I do in my personal sessions, and I'm having a women's circle that's a 6-month container where we are working on this together on all levels, mentally, emotionally, physically, energetically, sexually, consciously, where we are moving through where we might have these blocks or this disconnect or this lack of remembering, so that we can live more in connection to our heart and to our essence and the love that we truly are. And using the pathways that could be freaking so painful and so scary that it has kept us trapped in this particular way, but that's not the only way. It's not the only way. And I have a free meditation on my website, receivemorelove.com, that is called a fresh start practice. It's a 20-minute practice that takes you through a few pieces of what I've been talking about to help you to kind of shift your state and reconnect and feel what is here and is always here. I also opened up a few slots in my schedule for free love optimization calls, where you can have a drop in with me, and I will help give you pointers and guide you along this path as well. It's in my true delight and passion to help people through these categories and territory. Mm-hmm.
I love that.
So good.
Yes.
So yummy. You're amazing. I'm just so honored to witness your work and be present here with you. And thank you. Thank you for you and the gift of you and all you offer to the world. It's delicious.
Thank you. Thank you. It feels so good to share and have this space be held by the two of you, for me to share this and for other people to receive it. I really feel the potency. I really love the combination of all of the elements in us and all the beautiful people that are being called to have this in their life right now.
Well, it's so powerful to be a yes and to ask what's more, what else can be real, what else can be alive, and to expand the expand what is possible. So it's really honoring to be like, wow, Raja, you're really upset. And I can see you and I can hold you and I can love you there. And I can also see that the wind is blowing and there's other things going on too. Like there's the expansiveness of human expression, and to really do that one for oneself is so important. Like, I am really upset right now and I'm having a full-on meltdown trigger, which I've talked about on the show before. It's like, I'm having a meltdown. And I know that this is real and alive and validating. I'm validating myself. And there's beautiful people around me who love me. And I am scared and I'm safe at the same time. And in the, mind, body, spirit, the whole, expansive capacity at which, yeah, I really love that. That was amazing. Thank you.
Thank you for saying that back. There's one piece that I wanted to add that I feel like is really relevant, because as you were just walking that through, Trish, I'm like, right, like I'm kind of reviewing it in my body, of doing it with myself. And I also want to say that sometimes when we're really in something, we can't quite get to the and. So what I'm saying is, like, if it's a really deep part, chunky material for us, it's kind of advanced to be able to even like get to the and. So sometimes we need somebody else with us to be able to hold that and.
Yes.
That's like, yes, and you're okay. And you might not know that you're okay right now because you're in the middle of all your catharsis that is really actually keep going with that, because you need that in order to make the space, in order to access your and. And as you're going through that, I see you. I got you. You're good. Yeah. Yeah.
It's very, very true what you're saying.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, it's very, very true what you're saying. And when you get to that place where you're ready to really explore your and, it's a great thing that I always invite to explore is, and what is seeking to be expressed through this, right? Because there's the resistance is just holding back the universe from the expansion that's wanting to come through. So what is seeking to be expanded through this? And I actually will use my own experience while I was in the back while you were sharing. I had, all of a sudden my head started hurting, like you were talking, and I was like, whoa, that is so weird that I'm having a headache come through right now. And instead of pushing against it, I just sat with it and was like, that's really interesting. I'll be curious here. And so I just allowed myself to feel it and feel where other parts of my body were aching that, you were guiding us through. And I related it to this morning experience where I'm like right on the edge of birth, and preparing in the back end of this gorgeous thing that I'm about to birth into the world. And there's like that fear that it was arising this morning around some parts. And I sat with it and I was like, all right, this is connected. These feelings in my body are all connected. And the most amazing thing happened through your guidance right now is I had this incredible memory come forward of my mother, like in our home, expanding our living room and building onto our house an office for herself. And so there's so many correlations between my mom's life at that phase of her life and mine now, about me building my business and the age my child is and all of the things. There's so much. I think I'm deeply reworking that time period in my life through what I'm experiencing now. And so I was like, I sat with that memory and I was like, okay, show me more in my consciousness right there. It's like, what is this memory really releasing? And bam, like this thing came through and I was like, oh my God, I got guidance from like my higher self that I need to actually create an actual thing to offer my women. And so I had this piece of information immediately arrive. I'm not going to say what that information is because I want to create it and lean into it. I'm not going to give birth to it right here. But I'm going to sit with it in my heart and allow it to gestate and allow myself to give like reverence to that sacred knowledge that just came in. And it's like the headache went away.
What a beautiful example of like being with it, letting it metabolize and shift, and then your innate wisdom and intelligence and the gifts that you've come here to specifically bring with the world coming through.
Right. And it was like, bam, it dropped right in the knowledge of like, oh, okay, some action steps that I need to actually get, like, that's it. That's like more juice for the container I'm already building. And I was like, yes, that's so good. And the headache gone. I was like, whoa, wow. And so the headache arrived because it was the pressure of where I was resisting the information to flow through in myself. I'm like, whoa, amazing.
Just like Viraja's birth story. I mean, not just saying.
Yeah.
Thank you for the sacred gift of you today. Like, truly, thank you.
I'd really like to thank Scott and Love Coach Academy for being an epic mentor and an epic, beautiful, loving man in my life and giving me opportunities to re-meet people like Viraja and to just have this show. You know, Scott is the Scott and Love Coach Academy is the reason why Self-Love Show exists. And he was lovingly gracious to offer me an opportunity to be in Love Coach Academy in a big way. And thank you, Scott, and thank you, Love Coach Academy. And for all of those who don't know about Love Coach Academy, I will type that in. And I have also typed in Viraja's, all of her information. All of it. Well, no, not all of it, but some of it. I've typed in her website, and I have typed in the offering that she is really like her cohort right now. That sounds really, really yummy.
Oh, God, it was great.
Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah. It's a safer container. We're just 24 women where we will go deep into all those areas and really leveraging like any of the past pain and trauma or betrayals, like really welcoming that in, like come here and like let's get to the juiciness that's underneath that to help liberate like our feminine power and the love that we truly are. Yeah.
So if you're interested in that, I've typed it in. For more information about how to build trust in your relationships and with yourself, I'm adding in the group that Dawn and I are hosting. Mostly Dawn, we'll call it what it is. Mostly Dawn is like cultivating this beautiful Reclaiming Your Trust for Women group. And here's Love Coach Academy.
Thank you, Trish.
Yeah, of course. You know, I really want to thank both of you for showing up so... Like it's so wonderful to see powerful, fulfilled women who've done their work and who are no longer participating in the victim role, right? And who are really taking ownership of their lives and of their future and teaching other men and women how to do this. And both beautiful women who are teaching young men, you know, your sons, how to show up in the world in equality, in love. And thank you for your work. Thank you for your honest, loving, vibrant, feminine. More of you, please.
And more of you, please. It's the same. You're doing the same work, my love, with your people and your work in the world. I'm like, I feel so honored to be here in this container. And yes, thank you, Scott, for this amazing offering. Like we're coming up on our year of celebration here soon, doing this journey, and it's so good and delicious, and it's just beginning for us in the most amazing way. And I thank you again, Viraja, for just who you are and the work you do in the world. Like it's so good, and I know you're being a catalyst for so many women's awakening. And I really, just from the bottom of my heart, thank you for saying yes to that work and that purpose work that's flowing through, because it's so needed. Women need this. You know, we need a container that we feel supported. We need a place that we can feel, that we can explore all those parts that have been, you know, deeply hurt through our life curriculum, right? The things that arise in our life. And the more people that step into doing that work that we really yearn in our heart, that we know we came here to do, the more the world shifts, right? It's each of us taking responsibility for what we can do to actively shift and change the world. And so we're all doing that together, all of us. Like that's it, right? Like claiming our power, claiming our sovereignty, claiming the good in our world and emulating that out, like radiating it from our heart and giving others permission to do the same in their life. Like, yes, your gifts matter. Yes, the gold that you carry in your heart matters. Yes, all the pain that you've experienced in your life and the freaking heartbreak and the crazy things you've been through have all been interwoven for your spiritual awakening, and it's happened for a reason. And what can you take all that and transmute it? And what's underneath it? What are the gifts awakening to arise within you and in your being? Like, that's it. Yes, yes, yes. So thank you.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. We're such a good combo. Yes, so well said, both of you. Wow.
I say yes, yes.
Well, I say fuck yes.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you all for joining us, our listeners and our viewers, and we'll see you next Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Thank you so much.
Bye.